The xenobiology lecture hall buzzed with the usual pre-class chatter when Jessica Torres walked in. At just 21 standard years old, she was the youngest human ever admitted to the Galactic Naval Academy, and she'd learned quickly that being first meant being a target. The Chromath twins, Durek and Kelrax, exchanged glances from their seats in the back row. Beside them, the mantis-like Scythian called Vexkar clicked his mandibles in anticipation. The fourth member of their group, a hulking Grenian named Thorvik, cracked his knuckles, all 6 of them. They'd been planning this for weeks. The Deathworlder had embarrassed Durek during combat simulations, making him look weak in front of the entire cohort. Today, they'd return the favor. 4 against 1, in front of everyone, right before Professor Kthren arrived. They'd make it look like an accident, claim she'd started it. Who would believe the human over 4 decorated cadets from established military families? Jessica took her usual seat near the front, pulling out her data tablet. She wore the standard navy blue cadet uniform, her brown hair tied back in a regulation bun. To anyone watching, she appeared relaxed, focused on reviewing her notes about Xenovian cellular structures. But her reflection in the tablet screen showed her everything happening behind her. The 4 cadets approached with practiced coordination, spreading out to surround her desk. Other students noticed and quickly vacated the area. Some pulled out their personal recorders. Fights at the academy were rare enough to be noteworthy, especially ones involving the infamous human. "Hey, Deathworlder," Durek growled, his 3-meter frame looming over her. "You made me look bad last week." Jessica didn't turn around. "You made yourself look bad. I just won the simulation." "Stand up when a superior addresses you," Vexkar hissed, his razor-sharp forearms twitching. "Superior?" Jessica finally looked up, her dark eyes scanning all 4 of them with the calm assessment of a predator evaluating prey. "I don't see any superiors. I see 4 cadets who are about to make a very stupid decision." Thorvik laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "Big words for someone who's surrounded." "Surrounded?" Jessica stood slowly, rolling her shoulders. The movement was casual, but every experienced fighter in the room recognized it. She was loosening up. That's an interesting way to describe target-rich environment. Kelrax moved first, reaching to grab her shoulder from behind. What happened next would be analyzed in combat classes for the next 3 semesters. Second 1 to 3, Jessica's left hand snapped up, catching Kelrax's wrist in a grip that made his bones creak. She pivoted, using his own momentum and 3 times Earth's worth of muscle density to swing him into Thorvik. The Grenian's bulk worked against him. He was built for power, not agility. 200 kilos of Chromath warrior slammed into him like a meteorite. Both went down in a tangle of limbs. Second 4 to 6, Vexkar lunged with his bladed forearms, a strike that could disembowel a Taurian bull. Jessica dropped under the slash, her earth-trained reflexes, honed by a gravity well that would crush most species, making her seem impossibly fast. Her leg swept out, but instead of trying to trip the mantis creature, she kicked his knee joint sideways. The snap was audible throughout the hall. Vexkar shrieked and collapsed. Second 7 to 9, Durek, the largest and most experienced, finally processed what was happening. He threw a punch that could dent titanium plating. Jessica didn't try to block it, she redirected it, her hand guiding his fist past her head by mere centimeters. The momentum carried him forward, off balance. Her elbow came up in a tight arc, catching him under the jaw. His head snapped back with a sound like a hammer hitting meat. Second 10 to 12, Thorvik had recovered and was rising, reaching for the combat knife at his belt, a violation of academy rules, but desperation made people stupid. Jessica's foot caught him in the solar plexus before the blade cleared its sheath. The kick had behind it every pound of muscle that evolved to run down prey on the African savanna, amplified by training that began before she could walk. Thorvik flew backward, hit the wall, and slumped down, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Jessica stood in the center of the chaos, breathing slightly elevated but otherwise unmarked. Around her, 4 cadets lay in various states of consciousness and pain. Kelrax was groaning, tangled with Thorvik. Vexkar clutched his shattered knee, his mandibles clicking in agony. Durek was on his back, staring at the ceiling with unfocused eyes, trying to remember how to make his jaw work. The entire lecture hall sat in stunned silence. Jessica calmly picked up her data tablet, which had recorded everything, and returned to her seat. She pulled up her notes again as if nothing had happened. Professor K'Thren arrived exactly 30 seconds later, his tentacles swaying as he surveyed the scene. The cephaloid professor had been teaching for 40 years and thought he'd seen everything. Apparently not. "Miss Torres," he said carefully, "would you care to explain?" Jessica looked up with innocent eyes. "Self-defense, sir. They surrounded me with clear hostile intent. My tablet has full video documentation. You'll note I used minimal necessary force and stopped immediately when the threats were neutralized. Academy Regulations, Section 7, Subsection 4, cadets have the right to defend themselves from assault by other cadets using reasonable force." K'Thren's skin flushed purple, his species equivalent of a headache. Of course the human would know the exact regulation. "Medical team to Lecture Hall 7, he announced through his comm then, to the class, let this be a lesson. When the Academy accepted humanity into the galactic community, some dismissed them as soft, weak, primitives from a backwater world. But Earth is classified as a death world for a reason. Everything there evolved in an arms race of survival. Predators hunting prey. Prey developing defenses. An endless cycle that forged one of the most dangerous species in known space." He looked directly at the remaining conscious students. "The humans call it natural selection. We call it nightmare fuel. Remember this moment. Remember that humans don't start fights, they end them." As the medical teams hauled away the 4 attackers, other cadets gave Jessica even more space than usual. Word spread through the academy faster than light-speed communications. The human hadn't just won. She'd made it look easy. Effortless. Like swatting away annoying insects. Jessica returned to studying her notes on Zenovian cellular structures, ignoring the whispers and stares. She had an exam next week, and unlike combat, biology required actual studying. Behind her, a Luminari cadet pulsed with nervous orange light and whispered to his companion, "Remind me never to make the Deathworlder angry." His friend, a normally brave Vextar warrior, clicked in agreement. "Remind me never to even look at her wrong." Jessica smiled slightly, not looking up from her tablet. Good. Maybe now they'd let her study in peace. The incident report filed by Professor K'Thren concluded with a single recommendation: mandatory combat training for all cadets to include Earth-style defensive techniques. If we cannot match human capabilities, we should at least understand them. Current casualty projection for future conflicts, unacceptable.